Preface of the Song Celestial or Bhagavad Gîtâ. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Jyoti Tharavanath. The Song Celestial or Bhagavad Gîtâ, translated by Sir Edwin Arnold. To India. So have I read this wonderful and spirit-thrilling speech by Krishna and Prince Arjun, held discoursing each with each. So have I writ its wisdom here, its hidden mystery. For England, O our India, as dear to me as she. Edwin Arnold. Preface. This famous and marvelous Sanskrit poem occurs as an episode of the Mahabharata, in the 6th or Bhishma Parva of the great Hindu epic. It enjoys immense popularity and authority in India, where it is reckoned as one of the 5 jewels, Pancharatni, of Devanagari literature. In plain but noble language, it unfolds a philosophical system which remains to this day the prevailing Brahmanic belief, blending as it does the doctrines of Kapila, Patanjali, and the Vedas. So lofty are many of its declarations, so sublime its aspirations, so pure and tender its piety, that Schlegel, after his study of the poem, breaks forth into this outburst of delight and praise towards its unknown author. Magistrorum reverentia brachimanisi interesancatissima, pietatis afficere ferture ergote primuma, vatisi sangatissime numinisco faefeta, quisquis tandem inter mortales, dictus tu fioris carminis buius octoro, cuius oraculis mens ad excelsa quaque, aeterna quod divina Cuminineraua, cudam delectonte rapitere primum in quam, salvere ubeo e vestigia thorsam peradore. Larson re-echoes this splendid tribute, and indeed, so striking are some of the moralities here inculcated, and so does the parallelism, ofttimes actually verbal, between its teaching and those of the New Testament, that a controversy has arisen between pundits and missionaries on the point whether the author borrowed from Christian sources or the evangelists and apostles from him. This raises the question of its date, which cannot be positively settled. It must have been inlaid into the ancient epic at a period later than that of the original Mahabharata. But Mr. Kashinath Telang has offered some fair arguments to prove it anterior to the Christian era. The weight of evidence, however, tends to place its composition at about the 3rd century after Christ, and perhaps there are really echoes in this Brahminic poem of the lessons of Galilee and of the Syrian incarnation. Its scene is the level country between the Yamuna and the Saraswati rivers, now Kurnool and Jind. Its simple plot consists of a dialogue held by Prince Arjuna, the brother of King Yudhishthira, with Krishna, the supreme deity, wearing the disguise of the charioteer. A great battle is impending between the armies of Kauravas and Pandavas, and this conversation is maintained in a war chariot drawn up between the opposing hosts. The poem has been turned into French by Bonhoff, into Latin by Lasson, into Italian by Stanislaw Gatti, into Greek by Galanos, and into English by Mr. Thompson and Mr. Davis, the prose transcript of the last named being truly beyond praise for its fidelity and clearness. Mr. Telang has also published at Bombay a version of its colloquial rhythm, eminently learned and intelligent, but not conveying the dignity or grace of the original. If I venture to offer a translation of the wonderful poem after so many superior scholars, it is in grateful recognition of the help derived from their labors, and because English literature would certainly be incomplete without possessing, in popular form, a poetical and philosophical work so dear to India. There is little else to say which the Song Celestial does not explain for itself. The Sanskrit original is written in the Anustubh meter, which cannot be successfully reproduced for Western ears. I have therefore cast it into our flexible blank verse, changing into lyrical measures where the text itself similarly breaks. For the most part, I believe the sense to be faithfully preserved in the following pages. But Schlegel himself had to say, "Ire conditiare bus mesam per poiuta fosta, mentim recte divinasse firmare nausema." Those who would read more upon the philosophy of the poem may find an admirable introduction in the volume of Mr. Davis, printed by Messrs. Turbner and Co. Edwin Arnold, CSI. End of preface. Recording by Jyoti Taravanat. Chapter 1 of the Song Celestial, or Bhagavad Gîtâ, translated by Sir Edwin Arnold. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Jyoti Taravanat. Dhritarashtra said, "Ranged thus for battle on the sacred plain, on Kurukshetra, say, Sanjaya, say, what wrought my people and the Pandavas?" Sanjaya said, when he beheld the host of Pandavas, Raja Duryodhana to Drona drew, and spake these words, "Ah, Guru, see this line, how vast it is of Pandu fighting men, embattled by the son of Drupada, thy scholar in the war. Therein stand ranked chiefs like Arjuna, like to Bhima chiefs, benders of bows, Virata, Yayudhan, Drupada, eminent upon his car, Drishtaketu, Chekitan, Kasi stout lord, Purujit, Kuntiboj, and Saivavya, with Yudhamanyu and Utmauj, Subhadra's child, and Draupadi's all famed, all mounted on their shining chariots. On our side, too, thou best of Brahmins, see excellent chiefs, commanders of my line, whose names I joy to count, thyself the first. Then Bhishma, Karna, Kripa fierce in fight, Vikarana, Asvathaman, next to these strong Saumadatti, with full many more valiant and tried, ready this day to die for me their king, each with his weapon grasped, each skilful in the field. Weakest meseems our battle shows where Bhishma holds command, and Bhima fronting him, something too strong. Have care, our captains, nigh to Bhishma's ranks, prepare what help they may. Now blow my shell." Then, at the signal of the aged king, with blare to wake the blood, rolling around like to a lion's roar, the trumpeter blew the great conch, and at the noise of it, trumpets and drums, cymbals and gongs and horns burst into sudden clamour, as the blasts of loosened tempest. Such the tumult seemed. Then might be seen upon their car of gold, yoked with white steeds, blowing their battle shells, Krishna the god, Arjuna at his side. Krishna with knotted locks blew his great conch carved of the giant's bone. Arjuna blew Indira's loud gift. Bhima the terrible, wolf-bellied Bhima blew a long reed conch, and Yudhishthira, Kunti's blameless son, winded a mighty shell, Victory's voice, and Nakula blew shrill upon his conch, named the sweet-sounding. Sahadev on his called gem-bedecked, and Kasi's prince on his, Sikandi on his car, Drishtadyum, Virata, Satyaki the unsubdued, Drupada with his sons, O Lord of earth, long-armed Subhadra's children, all blew loud, so that the clangor shook their foemen's hearts, with quaking earth and thundering heaven. Then it was, beholding Dhritarashtra's battle set, weapons unsheathing, bows drawn forth, the war instant to break, Arjun, whose ensign badge was Hanuman the monkey, spake this thing to Krishna, the divinest charioteer: "Drive, dauntless one, to yonder open ground betwixt the armies. I would see more nigh these who will fight with us. Those we must slay to-day in war's arbitrament, for sure on bloodshed all are bent who throng this plain, obeying Dhritarashtra's sinful son." Thus by Arjuna prayed, O Bharata, between the hosts that heavenly charioteer drove the bright car, reining its milk-white steeds where Bhishma led, and Drona, and their lords. "See," spake he to Arjuna, "where they stand, thy kindred of the Kurus." And the prince marked on each hand the kinsmen of his house, grandsires and sires, uncles and brothers and sons, cousins and sons-in-law and nephews, mixed with friends and honored elders, some this side, some that side ranged, and seeing those opposed, such kith grown enemies, Arjuna's heart melted with pity while he uttered this. Arjuna said, "Krishna, as I behold, come here to shed their common blood, yon concourse of our kin, my members fail, my tongue dries in my mouth, a shudder thrills my body, and my hair bristles with horror. From my weak hand slips Gandiv, the goodly bow. A fever burns my skin to parching. Hardly may I stand. The life within me seems to swim and faint. Nothing do I foresee save woe and wail. It is not good, O Keshav. Naught of good can spring from mutual slaughter. Lo, I hate triumph and domination, wealth and ease, thus sadly won. Aho! What victory can bring delight? Govinda, what rich spoils could profit, what rule recompense? What span of life itself seem sweet, bought with such blood? Seeing that these stand here, ready to die, for whose sake life was fair and pleasure pleased, and power grew precious, grandsires, sires and sons, brothers and fathers-in-law and sons-in-law, elders and friends. Shall I deal death on these, even though they seek to slay us? Not one blow, O Madhusudan, will I strike to gain the rule of all three worlds. Then how much less to seize an earthly kingdom? Killing these must breed but anguish. Krishna, if they be guilty, we shall grow guilty by their deaths. Their sins will light on us. If we shall slay those sons of Dhritarashtra and our kin, what peace could come of that, O Madhava? For if indeed, blinded by lust and wrath, these cannot see or will not see the sin of kingly lines overthrown and kinsmen slain, how shall not we who see shun such a crime, we who perceive the guilt and feel the shame? O Thou delight of men, Janardana! By overthrow of houses perisheth their sweet continuous household piety, and rites neglected, piety extinct, enters impiety upon that home. Its women grow unwomened, whence there spring mad passions, and the mingling up of castes, sending a hellward road that family, and whose wrought its doom by wicked wrath. Nay, and the souls of honoured ancestors fall from the place of peace, being bereft of funeral cakes, and the wan death water, so teach our holy hymns. Thus, if we slay kinsfolk and friends for love of earthly power, ahovat, what an evil fault it were! Better, I deem it, if my kinsmen strike, to face them weaponless, and bare my breast to shaft and spear, than answer blow with blow. So speaking, in the face of those two hosts, Arjuna sank upon his chariot seat, and let fall bow and arrows, sick at heart. Here endeth Chapter 1 of the Bhagavad Gîtâ, entitled Arjun Vishad, or the Book of the Distress of Arjuna. End of Chapter 1. Recording by Jyoti Taravanat.